and welcome to episode 14 of the UK Thrashers radio show. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been tuning in. Obviously our viewing numbers have gone up quite dramatically since we moved over to Spotify and made this into a proper podcast, so massive thanks to everyone for listening, massive thanks to all the bands who let me interview them, and of course those who let me use their music. Let's keep going. And kicking the music off for this episode, this is Siderian from Northamptonshire, and this is Lizard Method Statement.
Brave flash in time, spark extinguished, call for
taken from their album Origins. That was Siderian. Next up, some thrash metal from the Midlands. This is Obsidian, and this is Desolate Creek. Okay, next up is our interview for this week. I thought this interview was going to be like pulling teeth, but in the end it turned out to be an hour of engaging conversation. And Jack the drummer, he didn't half like to chat. Enjoy the interview. Okay, so in the virtual studio this week, we welcome a young band from Manchester whose debut EP, The Uprising of Hatred, has created a ton of interest. So let's say hello to Steel Mage. Okay, hello lads. Can you please introduce yourselves and say what you do in the band?
Yeah, so to start off, I'm Jack, and I play drums in the band. And he couldn't make it with us today, but we've got Tommy Verity, and he plays lead guitar for us. And then alongside me on the interview, we've got Louis. So go on, Louis.
Yeah, what's up? I'm Louis. I'm rhythm guitar and lead vocals. And we also have Thomas O'Malley, who's our bass player.
So thanks for joining us. So how did you guys get together in the first place? How did you meet up? You know, are you friends from college or school, or are you did you meet online, or how did the band get together?
So, well, I'm the newest member to the band, and I joined the band via social media. I saw a social media ad. I'd been following Tommy's account, which I know a fair few fans have been following Tommy for a long time. And I saw that Tommy had shared a ad looking for a drummer, and I'd been wanting to find a metal band of any sort, thrash, metalcore, whatever, just something that plays heavy music, which I enjoy. For so long, and even though Manchester's about an hour away from me, it's not a bad drive. So I thought, what, I'm going to give this a go because it sounds cool. So I messaged the lads, and it was actually Tom that replied on the Steel Mage page, quite prompt. And then he said, yeah, man, come down for a kind of little audition thing. And last October, I went down to Pirate Studios in Salford, and ironically, Tom wasn't there. He was seen motionless in white. However, Louis and Tommy were there, and that's how I joined the band. And in regards to how the rest of the band met, Tommy and the old drummer Max, they met at school and they've been jamming in practice rooms and stuff like that. And just jamming out simple riffs, typical school stuff. Then they got with Tom, and then I believe Louis joined around last February, March time on vocals and rhythm guitar, and then obviously Max. I think it was a mutual decision that Max was no longer in the band due to I think it was A-level commitments, wasn't it, Louis?
It was just general commitment. He was a very, very busy guy, and the band wasn't his main focus, whereas all of us, we wanted to put all our time and efforts into the band and make it work. It was just kind of like a side hobby for him. So we just said, in a very respectful way, we just said, you're a great guy and we like your drumming, but we'd like you to consider just your commitment to the band, if it's going to work or not.
Sure.
So we were respectful about it, but we wanted it to, it was for the good of the band in general.
Sure.
And there's no hard feelings towards Max at all. Like, he came to our first gig to support us, so he's and I've spoken to him a little bit, but we just, obviously personal lives and band stuff is separate. So as on a personal level, his sound as a pound is really nice. However, in terms of being in a band that has intentions of going places, Max probably wasn't the right fit for this band, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure. If people haven't heard your music yet, somehow, describe it. What is your sound?
Like, we're often compared to Annihilator and Megadeth. Obviously, those influences are there because Jack is a big fan of Annihilator. Tommy is obviously a big fan of Pantera. And I think we have that kind of sound as well, not just in our music, but in the way our EP was produced. It has something gritty to the sound that you often hear in older metal. And it's kind of, I think, as far as the EP goes, it's kind of classic thrash, kind of with some groovy elements in there as well. It's kind of triplet rhythms and E-power chord kind of
and
stuff.
It's pretty simple, isn't it, Louis? It's there's nothing that stands out to the tech heads, basically. It's like, oh, I like that polyrhythm or that kind of thing, It's very, very simple, power chords, no time signature changes, and it's just, it's very classic thrash, whereas in the new stuff that we currently have in the works, we're trying to steer away from that a little bit to try and find our USP, essentially, to try and combine thrashy elements with some metalcore drumming or some vocals and that. And we don't like to define ourselves as a specific genre because then we'd be pigeonholing ourselves. So we if we said we were thrash and we release something that's a bit genty, we don't want to make anyone unhappy. So we basically just do what we enjoy, and we're in the mindset that if we enjoy playing it, brilliant. And then if fans enjoy what we're making as well, that's also really good.
It's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because you kind of need the genre to get people to listen to you. You know, you want to say on genre X because then fans of X will come and listen to me. But in the flip side, as you say, you don't want to get yourself pigeonholed. So, you know, as soon as you want Louis to bust out some death metal lyrics or sing like Lady Gaga, you're going to get the shit. Everyone's going to complain because you've kind of, you know, you've sold out and you're doing something different. So yeah, I guess that's a bit of a challenge all the time. So, of the tracks you've got on the first EP, which one would you say, if like, you know, you were going to point aliens popped in from space and you're going to say to them, this is what Steel Mage is all about, which of those tracks would you point them to?
We'd well, for me personally, it'd be drawn between Beatdown, which was, as a few people know, that was our single that we released on the 5th of March. That did quite well, and you know, I think it's currently at 60,000 streams. And I think, well, obviously, you know, people seem to enjoy that one. That's probably the thrashiest one that we have on the EP. It's very, very typical in that sense. However, I also really enjoyed the song Blading Edge. And although that's the, how can I put it, I'll say worst performing on Spotify, you know, because it's fairly low down in terms of, I mean, I think it's at like 12,000 or something, but yeah, that's a real fun one to play. As it showcases a lot of the band, like it showcases the rhythm section, i.e. me and Tom, with the various solo sections, and then at the end with Tommy's solo and Louis' vocals, and it's probably the most well structured song. So to those aliens, I'd probably say, you know, what up? Come and check out Beatdown. Come and check out Blading Edge, and I'm sure you'll dig.
Yeah. With
I think personally, to me, Beatdown is the catchiest to people hearing us for the first time. It's short with some catchy sections, especially the breakdown. People remember the breakdown.
Yeah.
And, but I think, like Jack said, Blading Edge is a very fun song, and I think it shows us off musically best. I have a little fill in that before the solo after the harmony. It's just kind of, it's the most complex musically.
You know, I think all of you guys are pretty accomplished musicians in your own right. Before the band, I've seen stuff on social media, Jack, with you kind of getting awards for, you know, your drumming, and obviously Tommy has been playing some of the most complicated playthroughs of other people's songs, and you know, all that sort of stuff. What you know, obviously there's the bands you spoke about, Annihilator and things like that. What about your wider influences, you know, in the bigger sphere of thrash and then wider afield? What are the sort of music you listen to and kind of take influence from?
So I do listen to thrash, and there's some thrash bands that I like, and when I listen to them, I love them. And those bands are Exodus, Havoc. Who else have we got on there? Definitely Death Angel and Testament. Those kind of guys, and Tankard. So I'll listen. Thrash has been my favourite subgenre of metal for a very long time. But recently I also really enjoy metalcore and deathcore, and I know the guys in the band have probably never heard the end of me going on about slam and beatdown. Not the song Beatdown, the genre Beatdown and hardcore and stuff. So to be fair, I'll listen to more or less anything in that aspect. Like if I said to anyone on this who's listening to this, yo, check out my Spotify playlist, there's no correlation between the songs. You know, you'll have a Kiss song, you know, that's all, you know, Love Gun and that, and then you'll have I Come Blood by Cannibal Corpse that comes in after that. You know what I mean? There's no specific kind of pattern. I just, if I enjoy that, I'll put it on my playlist, kind of thing.
And Luke?
Yeah, I'm the same, really. I mean, my playlist, I have one playlist if I add songs to it, and it's very much like I go from Cattle Decapitation to who do I have on there? Dua Lipa. Now, obviously, that music is not metal, but I love it. And but influence-wise, I think for me, big ones are Trivium, definitely, and Lamb of God would be the main ones. Specifically the riffs in Lamb of God. That's very Mark Morton and Willie Adler were the two people that inspired me most play guitar when I first started. I had a maths teacher that in our breaks, instead of me going out, he would show me Lamb of God videos on his computer because he'd been metalhead all his life. He saw Metallica in '91, and so that kind of fueled my playing because he was a guitarist as well. And so Trivium and Lamb of God would be the biggest influences on my playing.
So as a band, you know, obviously you're still fairly new, you know, kind of 12, 18 months down the line. Where do you think your strengths and weaknesses are? You know, have you got things that you know as a band you need to work on?
Yeah, we're very aware of stuff that we need to work on. That's why we found the reviews and the comments on the EP so helpful to us. Like I remember you said on the Razor's Edge that the Uprising of Hatred was kind of like a throwaway track, which is fair enough. You know, that's a fair comment. And we take a lot of these because I mean I know for a fact I know a lot of people that would take these comments as a personal attack, which they aren't. These are people that are experienced in the thrash scene, in the metal scene, and they know what they're talking about. So we'll take these and we'll take them on board and we'll consider them for new music, because at the end of the day, these people just want to better us, you know. So we take that, and Louis mentioned about Lamb of God, and Lamb of God are certainly a big influence with the new music, with the riff, just because they're so, you know, spicy riffs. So I think one thing that we are probably going to be improving on is the way we write songs and the song structure. For example, Warrior, I say all the time on a call, like, because we've been on a call recently and we've got a new song in the works. It's going to be a fairly short song, you know, not Napalm Death kind of short, but kind of short, you know what I mean? Well, actually, I say it's not going to be Napalm Death kind of short. We've got a bit of a piss take song on the album, which is going to be a bit like a Napalm Death song, but that's besides the point. We've got like a 2-minute 30 song, and I always say we are not going to have that as the structure that Warrior is. And for those that don't know, Warrior is the second track on our EP, and it's and I'll tell you why it's like that. It's because Tommy wrote that when he was in year 8. So bear in mind he's what, 12 or 13 then, and he's almost 18 now. So that song's been a song for a very long time. That's
not even year 8, it was year 7.
Yeah, so it was like one of the first songs, but we put it in there because it's a bit of history for the band. I think in future music, people will be able to say, "Oh, can you remember when they wrote that song Warrior? And this is them now," you know, that kind of thing. So, you know, to sum that, we want to improve on our song structure and the way we write songs, and probably all being on the same page as a band, because as we all have very different musical influences as individuals in the band. You know, Tom's heavily into his gent and his deathcore. Tommy, if you guessed it or not, he's very into his thrash.
He's the most traditional out of all of you, really, isn't he? You know, he's he looks like, you know, the love child of Dimebag and Dave Mustaine.
He has that a lot, and we've said to him, Tommy, can you try and just rein that back a little bit, so we're not seen as Pantera, we're not seen as Megadeth, we're seen as Steel Mage. So instead of using a dime guitar, a dime head, and looking like Dimebag, you think you can, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think being on the same page as musicians, because although it's you know, it could be a godsend that it's cool that we all have different stuff that we enjoy, and we can, and you know, want to be like, oh, that's brilliant. You can fuse all those together, and you can make a new kind of genre that no one's really heard before. Brilliant. But you know, when you're 4 young lads and you've got hormones racing all around you and you're getting mood swings and that, you can take some stuff a bit personally. Like, you're saying stuff about my subgenre, that kind of thing. We're not that petty, but it's just, you know, I'm overreacting obviously, but you know, just probably working better in that sense as a band. You know, I'm not saying we're bickering all the time, because we're not. You know, I'm pretty sure that we won't be a band if that were the case. But just as we get further down the line, we feel that it's very important to show a certain amount of professionalism that other bands our age may not be showing. So we're not seen as like a kiddie band. We're not seen as, you know, the new kids on the block. We want to be seen at the same kind of standard that, you know, other undergrounds are at, if that makes sense.
And I guess there's always a risk of that because, you know, you are quite young and you kind of, you know, who's the youngest? Are you the youngest, Jack? Yeah,
I'm 14.
You know, I mean, that's a, you know, you've got the problem that all young bands start off with is that, you know, pubs are very nervous about letting you go into play because you're underage. You know, all those issues that come with it, that as soon as you hit 18, it's, you know, it's a big switch. I was chatting to the Umberia lads the other day, you know, and Ben's passed his driving test and suddenly the world's your oyster because you've hit 18 and you're suddenly a bit more, you know, it's easy, you're easier to deal with. But, you know, if you said, oh, we got a band on next week and the drummer's a 14-year-old, you'd be like, oh, fucking hell, God, no, we're not going to do it. You know what I mean? So it's always going to, that's always going to be a bit of a challenge, I guess.
Yeah, and you know what, Neil? We've got turned away from venues so many times. I think on count at the moment it's about 13 times, and we've been gigging since January, and we're in August now. Crikey, it is going fast this year, isn't it? But we've been turned away from so many venues, whether that's Bloodstock, Metal to the Masses in Sheffield, or Retro Bar in Manchester, for example. And because I'm quite close with a few of the guys that play in bands in the Manchester underground scene, and sometimes I'll just sulk to them and I'll be like, I'm 14, it's 4 years till I'm 18. It's going to be ages since until I get this. You know what I mean? And it's so easy to do that. But then again, there's also some good things that you can have when you're 40. There's that pros and cons side, you know what I mean? Because if you start off young at our age, it gives us more time to grow and develop as a band, and we can make them schoolboy errors now. Which, say you're a grown adult and you're new to the scene like we are, and if you make those errors, you could be looked down upon. And it's cool when you're a youngster because you can be a bit cheeky and get away with stuff, which you probably can't when you're.
Yeah, and I guess you guys are lucky for that. You know, that people, because you're a bit younger, people do want to take you under their wing a little bit. You know, like James and Jane at the 0161. You know, they you know, you guys, Mortal Backlash. You know, they're very much about bringing on the next generation and making sure you guys have those opportunities.
Those guys are brilliant. They've supported us loads, and you know, we've done that one show at Whittles, which we'll probably discuss later. We've done that with them, and we had a lot of gigs planned with them pre-COVID, you know, it's a shame because they're awesome people, and I know for a fact that Manchester's probably the most advanced with promoters in that case, because I know for a fact that other places don't have something like the 0161 underground Manchester metal community, because, you know, I know that it's going to be a lot harder for bands to be noticed and grow like that, because, you know, although you know, the old six minute putting stuff on it like the Alma and stuff, you know, you never know who's watching, and you know, Iron Maiden started off in pubs. Everyone starts somewhere, so I think the 0161 really give a great little step up for any bands really that are trying to get somewhere with it. So those guys are brilliant. They really are great.
Yeah, and
just going back to being a young band as well. Another pro with it is when you do play a gig and when people do hear your music, they go, wow, these guys are young. And they've got music out, they're playing gigs. That's really cool. So that we've got that side of it as well. There's the side that's annoying, but there are pros to it as well.
And I don't think it's any different. You know, I mean, I was 16 in 1988. I remember bands at that time, you know, that all the bands that have come before you, you know, there was those 16-year-old bands trying to get on gigs. It's just, you know, it was done differently because there was no social media or webs or any of that bullshit. But, you know, there's always been younger bands. I think the thing you see now is because at the time there was no older thrash bands, so there wasn't the grandfathers, the Acid Rains, the bands of that generation, the Zentrix,
Shrapnel,
Slammer, and all those guys. When they were young, there was no one else. The other bands were, you know, Motorhead and Iron Maiden and stuff. Whereas now you've got some kind of thrash forefathers who are, you know, my sort of age, who are now, you know, reformed in the last 5 or 10 years, and, you know, doing that stuff again. So, and then you say you've got the bands in the middle, your Shrapnels and your Reign of Furies, and, you know, the kind of the second wave, I guess, of UK thrash, you know, after it fell off the end of the world in about 92 for a few years and started building back up. On the strengths and weaknesses, what about you, Louis? What, you know, have you got things you want to work on? You know, I once again abused you during a review and said your vocals can sound a little bit strained at times, a little bit. You know, have you been working hard to try and, you know, learn how to breathe better? Because I guess it's, you know, you're trying to play guitar and everything at the same time.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I'm always trying to get better, even if people were to say, "Oh, his vocals are great, never changed, they're awesome." Like, people don't say that, but if they did, I would still try to improve. Because if I'm content as a musician, then I'll just never progress. So I'm always saying this can be better, this can be stronger. I'm always trying to find things I can improve. And like, especially vocals, because it's not like guitar where I pick up my guitar and every time I play it, like, there's so many variables with your voice. It's never the same twice. And the biggest thing is getting consistent with them. Especially
with live performances, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, with the guitar as well, I often practice vocals with my guitar on me, because it's just kind of, it's like playing guitar sat down and standing up. If you never practice standing up, when you do stand up, it'll feel really weird.
Yeah.
And so I often practice my vocals with my guitar on, because it just gets me ready for that live setting, you know, and you've got to be ready for it.
We kind of touched on it a minute ago, social media, obviously, because of what we do with the blog and the website. You know, that's your public face of the band, and it kind of really interests me. And you guys especially, you know, you've got a massive amount of followers. You know, for someone with one EP with 4 songs, you know, a couple of gigs under your belt, you know, I think I looked the other day, when I was just doing my pre-interview kind of check-in, you've got, you know, twice as many followers as Acid Rain, a third more than Onslaught. You know, how have you managed to build that following? You know, is that a full-time job for you guys? Are you kind of sat in the back of maths classes, you know, stalking followers and things like that? Because, you know, to build up that for a thrash band, in inverted commas, is, you know, it stands out as, you know, compared to a lot of your peers and even bands the next ladder up, and, you know, and even the top tier of the UK. How's that kind of grown?
It is myself. And it's you know, only me that does the socials, and I've, like, prior to when joining Steel Mage, I'd watched and I'd studied a ton of stuff, and I'd spoke to, like, the professionals that's building social media like that, about how it's done, and I've watched videos and stuff to build my own account before Steel Mage. So when I joined Steel Mage, in the first few months, when I joined, it was a bit of a shambles. If it was still like that, I don't think I'd be still there. It was all a bit unorganised, and it was all a bit all over the place. Like, what's going on here? What's happening? You know, that kind of thing. And I had a very clear view of what I wanted in a metal band. So I think in the day and age that we live in, a social media good luck is definitely important, because, for example, when you get in touch with promoters, what do they ask for? They don't ask for something through the post, they ask for your social media links, and they'll look at that social media. If you've got some crummy social media, no capital letters, lack of emojis, you know, weird spelling, you know, they're going to think, are these guys a joke? That kind of thing. So I spend a lot of time on Photoshop, I do a lot of time on video editing, and Steel Mage is a full-time thing for me, whether it's, or, you know, managing the finances with merch and stuff, or posting the merch, packaging the merch, social media and stuff. And don't get me wrong, it can be very, very tedious at some times. However, it is quite rewarding. So and some techniques that I use is hashtags. Obviously, some hashtags that are relevant to the post. So if some people follow, I don't know, thrash metal, and we tag thrash metal, you know, oh, these guys either sound brilliant or these guys sound shit, that kind of thing, you know what I mean? Which will kind of sometimes make the people followers. I always try and make the captions look attractive. So if someone's scrolling through the page and there's nothing, and it's all just a big chunk and there's no emojis or anything. It sounds petty, but they are important things, you know. And they'll stop like, I'll check that out, that kind of thing. Also try and make sure that the photos are of quality. I know like some people will just screenshot the photos and it's like a bit of crap quality. And try and like, instead of you know, like for merch, how when people are selling stuff, they can just get a t-shirt, throw it on the floor and take a picture of it like that. You know, it's just little things like that I wouldn't do. I'd get like, you know, a picture from the internet of a t-shirt and I'll put the PNG on it so it looks a bit more attractive, and then I'll put it on a background and stuff like that. I just try and make things look as professional as possible in that sense. And I guess you know, you can call me OCD, whatever, but you need to be. You know, you have to be to kind of. And I check the socials every day, and I think, I know I'm rambling here, but it's something that we also do that I know some other bands do. We reply to every single comment and we interact with our fans as much as we possibly can. Which, you know, when I'm scrolling through Instagram and I'll see some bands and they'll have not replied to the comments. I'm like, you know, come on there. You know, if it weren't for you, if it weren't for these guys, you wouldn't be anywhere. You know, I mean, we had a bit of a thing last week in the band that we just had to kind of tighten up on the personal accounts replying to comments, because it's stuff like that that just, like, the way I see it, if it was in person and someone said to you, I love you shredding there, man, great job, would you just stand there like that, not saying anything, or would you say something?
Even if you just said thanks, mate.
Yeah, exactly. It's just anything to reply to them, and it just doesn't look great when there's so many replied to it. It's just a bit like that. And I think you mentioned about Zentrix and Acid Rain, which we all enjoyed those guys a lot. But because you know, no offense to them, but like they're the older boys, aren't they? You know, I guess they've got a very old school way of operating, you know, shall we say? And they probably weren't. I'm making them sound like dinosaurs here, I know, but I mean, like they weren't born into an age where social media was a thing. Whereas all of us four have been born where we've never been away from social media, and it's always been a thing. Yeah. Which is probably like I see like Zentrix and that, and you know, the post just like one sentence captions, and it's like social media that your dad does. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's not as big thing for them. You know what I mean? Because they've already built that platform. They don't need to prove themselves. You know, they've got for whose advantage out. You know, they've got or bury the pain out. They don't need to do that. Whereas we're trying to build up like that. You know.
And I think that's part of it, isn't it? You know, the reality of, you can have as many followers as you like. How many people turn up to your gig, and how many people, you know, buy your physical merch or your CD? Whereas these older guys have already got you know, they don't need their social media to sell those. They've got a reputation, and they've got they've got an existing,
and labels too.
Yeah, they've got labels and existing following. So those guys have to put in a bit less effort, I guess, to get, you know, you probably have to work 3 times as hard to get one sale as they do, sort of thing. You know, there's a kind of diminishing returns involvement in that. Do you know? I mean, you obviously geek out on all the stats and that. You know, is it?
Yeah.
How is it real? Not, and I don't mean fake accounts, but is it?
No, don't worry.
Is it people that are likely to turn into sales? Or, you know, is it people who are likely to come to a gig? Or do you also get a big peripheral of, you know, some guy in, you know, Timbuktu who's never going to, and he's just picked up on a nice bit, you know, because there's always a risk, isn't there? Is that, as you say, if labels and that are looking at this stuff and they're going to go, freaking hell, these guys have got, you know, 4,500 followers, and, you know, they're getting, you know, 600 retweets on everything they post, and, you know, more likes than you can shake a stick at. Let's book them. And then 3 people turn up at the gig, they're gonna like. So kind of, do you look at that? Do you do a bit of demographical stuff and work out what's going on?
Yeah. So the way I see it, there's a fan and then there's a follower. They're completely separate things in my eyes. You can follow someone and you can say, "Oh, can we please have CDs in? Can we please have this T-shirt in?"
Yeah.
But
Never put an order in.
They don't have them. Yeah, they don't put the order in, and they're not coming to any gigs. They're just following us.
Yeah.
You know, there's that kind of thing. However, saying that's why we feel it's important to, you know, network with the fans, if you like. So it keeps me like, oh, you know, these guys are, you know, relatively nice guys. That's how we try and come across. You know, I'm going to stick with these guys. I'm gonna buy that piece of merch. I'm gonna stream that song. You know what I mean? And I mean, we've always been very very fortunate with merchandise sales. I know that was one of the questions. And like I was saying to Badger at the Badger Fest promotion show that we did a couple months back now. He was saying, "Oh, how did you get so many streams in such a short space of time?" And the answer to that is, we already had a pre-made fan base, meaning you know, Tommy with his, you know, 15,000-20,000 followers, you know, Tom and Louis with their combined following, you know, 5,000, me with 10,000. Kind of bring a few of them people in, like, you know, because it's even. I know there's a lot of young bands out there. I know that, but like there's not a lot of young bands. It's usually indie, you know. I'm sure you've seen with the thrash scene and the metal scene. That I guess those more young bands, even though they're still there, they've more fizzled out, and you've got indie bands now. Whereas I think when someone sees a metal band, you're like, "Oh, bring in thrash back, bring in metal back." So back onto the merch sales thing. I will give Louis a chance to talk in a minute. It's just I'm kind of the one that can answer this. We are all right. We do well with merch. Like we had a fairly large demand for it. Like we got the Uprising of Hatred T-shirts in. And we sold out. We sold out of those in about 2 days, and we got a run of 50 in. So there was quite a high demand for those. And then we got the beanies in. We got these, and well, no point me saying these because no one's going to be able to see. Yeah. But I'm wearing a Steel Mage beanie at the moment. And we sold out of those in just less than a month. We got a run of 30, 35. I'm not bragging here. I'm just saying. But to be honest, it is bragging rights. But anyway.
Well, especially without,
and then we got
especially without touring. You know what I mean? It's one thing if you're on the road and you're going to gigs and you're shifting merch that way. But you know, the problem to get people to open their wallets when they haven't had 5 pints and seen you live is always a bit harder. So you know, you know, unless people, you know, to get them onto Bandcamp or into, you know, Big Cartel to actually spend money is always a bit more of a challenge.
It is. It is. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and we have in fact, this is probably something worth mentioning. All the merchandise sales and all the music we've put out has been in COVID. We have not done any gigs with that music. Well, we've done a couple of gigs with Beatdown out, but I mean, we're not with it fully out, so no one really knew who we were. So all merch sales, all streams, all that kind of stuff is done in the coronavirus pandemic. And I know we've had a few gig opportunities with you know, the Badger Fest thing, which was one of the best gigs we've done. I know there was no audience there, but well, to be honest, it was probably no different to the first time we played Rebel because no one knew who we were. So you might as well have called that a social distance gig because they were just like his parents you know, and little Johnny that comes to every single underground gig there is. You know, that's what we had. It was a fun gig and it was good. And that was the first gig that we did with the promoter. So it made us feel quite good with that. But seriously, we've never sold any merch at gigs apart from the Whittles gig. So I can't really give a definitive answer on how we sell all this merch. But I mean, we do. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, we just sold out of his CDs recently as well, which was quite a good feeling. Because I mean, we got them in and we didn't know how they were gonna go down because it's like vinyls and cassettes. They're a thing of the past, aren't they? And some people just get them for that nostalgia or just to support the band. I mean, I know plenty of people that. sorry, forgive me.
No, but you're right. For like my generation, vinyl and CDs is still, you know, I want to have something physical because I'm an old git, you know. But for people like my lad looks at my boy's 17. He looks at me like I'm a complete space cadet when I buy a CD, and he's like, it's on Spotify. And it's like, no, you dickhead! I want to have, I want to have the physical bit, and it's kind of, so
into like 0.00148p or something.
Whatever nonsense. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I guess because, and that was kind of where I was coming out with the question. Really, is that because your Spotify streams are pretty amazing. You, as you say, you've managed to convert a lot of those followers, if not fans, to go and listen to your music on Spotify. And you've got such a high stream count. It was interesting to see if that turned into physical sales of a physical product. So I think the fact that you kind of sold 100 CDs is pretty good, because there's probably only about 100 people that still want CDs.
Yeah, I mean, people look at Spotify figures and be like, people at school have come to me like, "Oh, mate, have you seen your Spotify figures? You must be stacked." And I'm like, well, no, we're not. Do you know how much we can probably get with that money that we get from there? A pack of biscuits.
Yeah, I was going to
say.
You know
what I mean? Because that's the truth. That's the truth. And that's how it is. That's why physical is always the way,
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I do like biscuits. And if I get biscuits from my then I'll be happy.
Louis will work for Hobnobs.
Yeah.
I know. In fact, you're Yorkshire lad, so you need those nice Hovis ones in the shape of a bit of bread, nice digestive.
Of course. Typical Yorkshireman.
That's it. So we touched on that. Is that low revenue? Is Spotify just a shop front really? Then is that the Spotify, as you say, you don't make any freaking money from it in reality. So is Spotify all about putting you in a good position for the future? Is putting you in a good position for the promoters, potentially a label upstream and all those sorts of things? Is that the importance of it kind of for bands of your generation?
Well, yeah, because when a band hits up a promoter and they'll ask for your music, you can't just send them a CD and be like, this is what his music sounds like, because you'll put them in the post, they'll chuck it on the side, get themselves a beer and probably forget about it. You know what I mean? Whereas a lot of people have Spotify, a lot of people have Apple Music. So it's an easy thing to just be like, hi man, this is our music, send the link through, jobs are good. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's 2020 and Spotify is, getting bigger by the day with people that are listening to it. And, I remember when Spotify just came out really, and it were Diddy and not many people used it, but it just kind of grown and grown, I guess. Which made me switch from Apple Music to Spotify, but that's besides the point. But yeah, just to answer your question, I guess so that it's to have a platform to kind of build on, because I mean it looks kind of cool to see that we're in the thousands streams kind of thing, and it's I mean if it were up to me, I'm a very old school guy, so I'd probably just want CDs. If it were up to me, I wouldn't want streaming. And I often say to the lads, I often say to my parents, I probably wish I could have been born in 70s, 80s. I could have been there, done it, got the T-shirt, but no, we're still trying to carry on the legacy, if you like, in 2020. But yeah, I guess so.
Okay. So, Louis, let's shut Jack up for 30 seconds, because he's
exactly. Get Louis on.
He's had too many E numbers. He's been on the blue Smarties all morning. So you guys managed to get a gig in Oldham before Manchester went back into lockdown. What gig number was that? How many live shows is that? Was that your third, fourth gig?
We had was that
sixth?
Sixth, yeah. I was thinking it was the 7th. It's the 6th. Yeah, so we've had we had our first one in January. That was it was like a little community centre.
It was a post office.
Yeah. It was literally in an old post office. And then we had our second. What was our second one? Rebellion. The Untamed.
It wasn't it? It were a couple of weeks after, and we got hit up by that promoter.
Yeah, so we did an Untamed night, a Rebellion, which is like, you know what they are if you don't. It's like 5 underground bands that are up and coming, and they each play a half an hour set.
Okay. So like a New Blood night.
Yeah, basically. We were actually due to play another one of them, I think, sometime in
29th of March, no, 25th of March.
5th of March. We were meant to play another, but obviously got cancelled, which is a shame. But after Rebellion, we played. Was it Swan with Two Necks that we played after that?
Yeah, that was supporting Severance. They're a Wales-based melodic metalcore band.
That was my favourite gig we've done, I think, apart from the Whittles gig. It was amazing to play
me
with
too.
Their standard. Then what was the one after that? Was it?
It was the Barnsley gig at Factory. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That was our worst gig, in my opinion. But it was the last gig we did before lockdown. It was literally only a couple of days after that, Boris did an announcement saying stay at home, save lives or whatever. And that was let's just say and then we had the live streamed gig.
Yeah.
And that was brilliant, and we could have been a lot better, I think. I mean, I think it.
But we didn't have a rehearsal, did we?
Well,
I know Tom was getting himself down about that, but we hadn't rehearsed.
Yeah, I mean, what was the date of it? It was
June the 14th.
June the 14th, and then our last gig before that had been March the 13th, I think.
Friday the 13th of March, yeah. That must have been bad luck then. If we played a bit crap.
It's all your fault. Yeah.
Yeah, but March the 13th and June the 14th, we hadn't played together in over 3 months, so I don't think we did too badly. But wasn't brilliant. It was a good time, good fun, and it was nice to watch it back and have it as good sound quality,
Yeah.
And
talk to the other bands as well, wasn't it? I mean, we spoke to Storm Rider. Well, just for those that don't know the bill, it was Storm Rider, and then the headliners were Portrayal of Ruin. And I was really stoked to support Portrayal of Ruin because I'd actually been a fan of those guys before I joined Steel Mage. So that was great for me.
Yeah, we all really like Portrayal of Ruin a lot, so it was great to support them. And Storm Rider as well. They're a great band.
Classic heavy metal, brilliant.
Yeah. Big Iron Maiden vibe in their show.
Yeah, they're classic, aren't they? You've got that new wave of British heavy metal style. So what about that Oldham gig? Obviously that was outdoors, so you had the challenges of wind and everything else. How did that go down? I saw a little bit. Again, talking about Jane and Jane's, I was watching a bit of Jane's live streaming. So was that a bit different? The challenge of playing outdoors, was that a little bit?
We were blessed with a warm, sunny day because it had been torrential rain the 2 days before it, and I asked James, I said, "What are we going to do if it rains?" And he said, "Oh, we've just put a cover up on the stage, and maybe people won't sit outside, but you'll still get to play." And we're like, "Oh, okay, all right."
Great.
Woke up in the morning, and
the show must go on.
Yeah, but we had a nice day, and it was lucky, but it was definitely my favourite gig we've done. And I've always wanted to play an outdoor gig, always. And to play on one, like a stage that big with that many people there must have been like 150 people there.
It felt like a download for us. We're having a right blast.
Yeah, it was like, mate, is that the Dogtooth stage?
Well, I guess it was like, it was most people's first chance to go to a live gig for like 4 months. So, everyone was fucking stoked to get out there and kind of see some live music again.
We were blessed as well with it, Neil, that we were first, because basically how it works is that it's basically a jam session. That's what it usually is. And Jade and James were like, right, we're going to bring one of his 0161 underground bands on. And originally it was going to be a band called Agent 47. But, they're grown up now and they have jobs, so they couldn't do it. So we got asked, and it was good. And because it worked in our favour, really, because we were the first one, so most people have come down to watch, regardless of the band,
Yeah. It could have been anybody.
It's not live music.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they just want that classic smell of a pub and just to be listening, and and yeah, and we sold a bit of merch there as well, which were quite good. And those people we played in front of. The only thing was though, the sound were a bit dodgy. We had a bit of a dodgy sound guy. Sorry if you're listening to this, but you know.
Don't worry, no one listens to this. You don't need to worry about it.
Just pretend it does to make us feel better. Yeah, but on a real, he were a bit crummy. He didn't like. We tried to put. We have some samples in our set, and he was like, "No, I don't have that cable. I have like the world's first prototype cable only." You know, oh god, fair enough. Laughter, and I didn't even want to try and argue. I was just like, you know what, I don't think this is going anywhere. I've got to stay 1 meter anyway, so let's just get on and play.
So, but this is your kind of learning curve, isn't it? Is in the future you'll have a box of all these different adapters, so that any of these awkward sound men, you can go onto Amazon when you get home. Right, I'm going to buy every single fucking adapter in the world, so that he's never going to tell me he doesn't have a 3.5 mil jack in. You know, so yeah.
No worries, mate.
Yeah, look what I've got. So other bands in the scene, obviously, kind of. I know you don't define yourself purely as a thrash band, but you know there's a lot of thrash going on in the UK at the moment. What bands of your generation are you listening to? You know, are you looking around you and looking at the other bands that you maybe like to go on tour with, like to play gigs with? You know, who else are you kind of interested to play with and listening to?
Well, I actually listen to mainly underground bands, believe it or not. And I do listen to a fair few underground thrash bands. Riptide, you know, I've looked up to them for absolutely ages because, you know, with the Annihilator support and, you know, I mean, Sean actually just sent me a patch. We did a bit of a swapperoo with that. I sent him a SM1 and he sent me a Riptide one. So Riptide definitely up there. Hellfected, Militia, Blacklist in terms of thrash. And then you've got the metalcore, deathcore kind of guys, so Trail of Ruin, Soul Shift, 40k League, Clash Mute, you know, got Clash Mute package the other week, and then slam bands, Detest, After the Abduction, Party Cannon, you know, so those kind of guys. What about you, Louis? It's Severance, obviously, Severance, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not huge into thrash. I like it, but it's not my first choice. The only real thrash band that I listen to a lot is Havoc. But underground bands and like bands that are a similar stage to, we've in the past we've had a good relationship with Tortured Demon. For a while, we were good friends with Umberia. Still are, to be honest. We just don't talk to them as much as we used to, but we'd love to play a gig with them. And I know that I personally like their music, even if I don't listen to it that much. And the underground band I listen to most would be Severance, I think, because I just love their music and I think they're a really cool band. I do listen to Portrayal of Ruin from time to time and Storm Rider too, because something about seeing a band live always makes me like them, whether I would gravitate towards them without or not. Just getting the vibe of their live show, there's something about it.
Add something extra, yeah. So what's next for you guys? What do you want to do next with the band? Where do you want to go? You know, is there an album coming? Do you want to go on tour? Obviously you've got studies, you know, you've got college work and things and school that you've got to somehow balance the two, I guess, because the parents probably aren't too keen that you drop out at 14 and, you know, piss off on the road with Metallica or something. But you know, you
say that. But I think I should probably care about school more than I do, to be fair. I really should, because I'm guilty. I just don't really give a crap about it, to me. I just want to leave, because I just absolutely hate every aspect of it. But on a real though, we were aiming to do a, this sounds so cocky, but we were going to be aiming to, like a DIY UK tour kind of thing. Well, I say it's cocky, but I was talking. Well, not talking. I was watching a video of Al from Earache Records, and he was saying that two things that they desire is a self-release release and some touring experience, because they don't want to throw a band on the road that, you know, gets there, and then, you know, they're crying because they're missing the mummies and daddies, and that kind of thing. And there's too much smoking. I don't know, some daft excuse, but you know what I mean. So we were hoping to do a video of like 4 or 5 day UK tour kind of thing. We're going to be recording something new next month with Book Studio for that, which we wrote in the lockdown, about the lockdown, and that's going to be getting released next year on New Year's. We're just sorting that out now.
We actually played that song at the Whittles gig, which is quite adventurous because we wrote it over FaceTime during the lockdown, and we'd never rehearsed it. But it went surprisingly well, actually, and I know for one that it's my favourite song that we've written, and we think that a lot of people are going to like it.
Okay.
Well, we hope, anyway.
Okay, cool. Right. So I've got a series of questions now. Obviously, I put out on the Instagram channel some questions from kind of a mixture of your followers and my followers. So I deleted some of the very random ones because there are some weird people.
What were you getting? We're intrigued.
Oh, there was some things about like, what do your parents do and things like that. And I was like, no, I'm not going to. It's like proper serial killer behaviour. So I decided to.
What do your parents do?
It was somewhere between grooming and serial killing, and I decided to get those off. So been there straight away.
Get them out of there.
So we'll whiz through these fairly happy. I think we've probably covered some of them, but Bradley O'Dwyer, guitarist, and Brianna Marie. Is there a specific album or song that inspired you to start playing?
There is for me. I know that there is for me. For me, I watched a guitar cover of the song Welcome Home by Coheed and Cambria. And I don't know if you know, but they're my favourite band of all time for sure, because they're so sentimental to me for this reason, is that right after I watched that cover, I just thought, that is what I want to do. It was so amazing. The guy had such passion. The song was so powerful. And my mum had this guitar that had been sat under a bed for like 19 years, still with the factory strings on in its case. And I just went, you know what, I'm going to go and get that. I'm going to go and get that guitar. And then I went on my bed with this guitar, just sat there for a couple of hours on YouTube. And in this couple of hours, I learned A major, E major, and D major. And I learned Wild Thing by the Trogs, you know. And that was like first day of playing. And it just it was all downhill from there, you know. It was the song that set me on my journey, and that whole album, Good Apollo 1 by Coheed and Cambria, just the biggest influence on me for sure.
And Jack?
For me, it's a weird one because the way I got into drums were this. I were in my old house, and I were in conservatory, I think, and I were about 6, and my mum says to me, Jack, do you want to learn a musical instrument? I'm like, yeah, because my mum plays saxophone. So instantly, being a 6-year-old and just copying my parents, I want to play saxophone. Basically, to play a wind or brass instrument, you need to get your big teeth. You need to have washed your baby teeth. And at 6, I hadn't lost my rabbit teeth yet. So basically, I had a few days to think about it, and one day randomly I says, Mum, I want to learn drums. So anyway, I started with lessons at school. I went out on my lessons to go to my drum lesson, and I enjoyed that. I did them all through primary school. Cracking teacher. I got to secondary school, and of course at secondary school, music is a mandatory subject for years 7, 8, and 9. Crikey, can't talk. But anyway, yeah, and the gear just gets abused. There's no respect for it, and to be honest, the gear isn't really that good anyway. So. You know, and the lessons had about 3 people, and you get 5 minutes on the kit, and you weren't learning all. So anyway, it were Christmas of my first year at secondary school, and I thought, no, I'm not doing this, wasting my parents' money. I'm not learning all. I saw I've got the option to either stop having lessons or go somewhere else. So that's when I started getting private tuition in Barnsley. On Doncaster Road, and it's Richard Quinn School of Drums, and I've come on so much as a all-rounder musician since I've been there. It's taught me to be versatile and stuff. But there wasn't really any specific album that made me think, I want to play drums. I know there's playing guys all that's like, oh, Slash is a great guitarist, or Angus Young's a great guitarist. But I mean, I didn't have that, but at the moment I have, and I've always had people I aspire to be like. You know, I want to be my own person, my own player, but I've always had people that I, you know, that inspire me with what they do and they're playing. You know, so I have a lot of inspirations, but there was no specific album for me.
There was no light bulb moment.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not lying. I know it's a bit of a boring cliche story, but there just one.
No.
Fair enough.
Okay, Callum Nolan, we've answered this one. How did the band come to form? So thanks for the question, Callum, but we've answered it. The real Max Schultz says, "Can I see you guys Domination live?" So I think he's after some live gigs. So where are you playing next? What's next on the gig schedule?
We have got a few booked. We've got the Summer Slammer, and talking about Age, we had a few issues with Age for that at the Star and Garter in Manchester, and the promoter Rick from Agent 47, and he spent about a month trying to get us on the bill because the band pulled out, and Age were a bit of an issue. So he sent us a message saying, right, Naffy, you're on the bill. You know, so that's on the Sunday 20th of September. Again, with the Trail of Ruin there on that, and Footprints in the Custard, and some brilliant bands on that. We've also got Pentrafest next February, Saturday the 26th, I think it is. That's in Wales.
The Riptide lads did that last year, didn't they?
Yeah, and the Storm Rider lads and the Seventh lads. So
I remember watching that. Yeah,
we got contacted about that. Yeah.
And it's nice to get out of England as well. Like, feels like even because it's like the first festival. Say festival, you know what I mean? It's like the first gig that we've done outside of the areas we're close to, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And so it when we got booked on that gig, it's kind of like, wow,
woohoo, like, you made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cereal for Aidan. His question is, what is going on at the beginning of Beatdown? So I guess that goes back to your sample again.
Yeah, basically that's I'll tell you what happened with that. We had no intention of doing that until the day that we recorded it, and Tom was recording his bass part.
I had the idea for it a while before, but then we were like, we'd recorded the song and everything, and I just said, "Oh, guys, remember that idea? That could sound cool."
Yeah, and Tom was recording his bass parts, and me, Louis, and Tommy went into the kitchen at the studio, like really reverby, and we found these 9 satanic rituals on
11
on Facebook, and yeah, and we read a few out. Well, Louis read a few out, and it was me and Tommy, you know, growling and making you know, very strange noises. And anyway, we distorted them up a bit, mixed them up, and then we put them through guitar pickup through the you know, the monitor, and kind of went in, and then we just you know, exported it as a MP3, and we just stuck it on the beginning of Beatdown, and then I come in with Beatdown, you know, that kind of thing. So it's a bit random, but we just wanted something a bit different.
Cool.
It sounds pretty cool in my opinion.
Nice.
And because it's his most popular song as well, when it's like playing, well, if we get a good enough sound guy that wants to play through the...
Who's got the right lead.
When he plays... yeah, exactly. Amazon will come in use for that. But yeah, but he's playing and people know what it is. It kind of builds up a bit of suspense, and because it's his most successful song, it's quite good. So when people hear that, they know it's Beatdown. Okay.
Next question, I think again we've answered. This is Aidan the Frog. What genre of music is Steel Mage? So we've kind of discussed that in thing. I'm going to let you guess who the next question is from. What's your favourite Cooking with Sean episode? Obviously, Sean's after more followers for his YouTube channel. Again, not scared to pimp himself out on other people's interview, even though he's had his own.
Shameless plug.
What a shameless bastard.
Mine is definitely episode 3. Sean, that steak looked good, bro.
Yeah, I'd say the first one. The first one, I mean, it could have killed someone with that chicken, I think it was. But I mean, it was funny, And Sean, if you're listening to this, dude, please make more. You got up to like episode 3 or 4, and you just stopped.
He's stopped
that was
again.
What was keeping me going. You need
definitely. Okay, so Adiata Tuli, she's asked another 2 questions that we covered. What bands do you look up to, and what's your favourite song from the EP to perform? So we discussed both of them. Avery Isabel is asking, are you going to release any tabs?
I don't think we have any plans to release tabs. However, I know that Louis and Tom and Tommy are going to be doing lessons and playthroughs of the songs, which I think is more helpful. I'm going to be doing like drum lessons on it, like a video. I think that's a lot more helpful as well, because, you know, with tabs, you just write them out, you send them, and they don't have any other queries that are going to be answered. So say if there was a part in it, I know I'm speaking for the guitarist here, but like if there was a bit that was down picked, or if it was alternate picking and they maybe did that one, it allows the individual's part to be into full detail. So I think that, and yeah.
Tabs, unless it's like on Songster or Guitar Pro or whatever, where you can play through the tab and like you can play it and you can hear what it says. If it's just like a tab book, for example, there's no indication of rhythm or whatever. It's just you get the tuning and you get the numbers and the strings, and that's it.
Yeah, and a beat per minute, and everything else is a bit of a guess.
Yeah, you just kind of, in some ways, you have to interpret it yourself.
Okay. We got a load of questions from Plum Sauce, Plastic Panic, and the Cafe Original, but again, all things that we covered during the interview.
The what?
The Cafe Original. Who knows? I said you've got some weird followers. Hopefully, you've answered their questions. So there were various. So finally, kind of coming to the wrapping it up. Any other plugs, news, shout outs, anything we haven't asked that you'd like to get off your chest and share with the listeners?
Shout out to Jane and James from the 0161 again. You know, a massive shout to you, obviously. You know, I know you've supported us a lot right from the start. So, you know, it's great to have, you know, someone like you that's been in it for a long time and that knows what they're talking about to kind of have on board with us. And you know, we really appreciate that. And, you know, thank you to all us fans that have been supporting us and buying that merch or coming to a gig. And then, you know, shameless plug because
that's what you do.
Who doesn't do this? Yeah, of course. Well, to be honest, I don't know why I'm doing this because we don't actually have that much merch left, but we have 2XL t-shirts left and we have a few patches left. So if anyone's interested in them, head over to steelmage.bigcartel.com and grab yourself a deal.
Or the Bandcamp. Or a Bandcamp.
On the Bandcamp. It's on the Bandcamp too.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'll put all the links in the show note and everything anyway, and point them to your link tree or whatever's the easiest thing to do. Guys,
cool.
Thanks for taking some time of your holidays out. I know, obviously, you know, you could have been on the beach or anywhere rather than talking to me. We've
had a blast. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. You're welcome. Guys, good luck in everything you do. Hopefully catch you guys live soon. Next time I'm up visiting my folks in Manchester area, and lockdown is finally out the way. Hopefully catch you guys soon. Thanks very much.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
And that was Steel Mage. Okay, this is Blading Edge, taken from their first EP, The Uprising of Hatred. Okay, and that's the end of the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in to the UK Thrashers radio show. We hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we're interviewing Thrasher Wolf. But for now, we're going to play you out some more music. This is our mates Hellfected. This is Treachery.
Time has
and this is a 2020 UK Thrash Ships production. All music belongs to the original artist. Don't Spotify.